Welcome to Career View. This is the podcast where we ask the questions you want to know when it comes to pursuing a career path. I'm your host, Kate Redden, and I will ask questions on behalf of students across the country, from secondary schools and universities, about what they want to know when it comes to pursuing their dream job. For today's episode, we will be asking our top questions that have been submitted by students on our Career View website who are aspiring to become biomedical scientists. To answer these very interesting questions, I am joined by Alex Mirco. So let's hear from him. Welcome to Career View, Alex. Great to speak to you today. What have you been up to today so far?
Just woke up a couple of hours ago, to be honest. I'm still waking up.
Just a nice, relaxing morning.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, first question asked by students is, what inspired you to pursue a degree in biomedical science?
So my pathway from high school student to now is a bit of a weird one. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in high school or coming out of high school. I kind of coin flipped between chem-eng or vet, and I landed on vet, but I didn't study as hard as I should and my grades weren't as good as I needed them to be. So I ended up picking up Bachelor of Science with a major in biomed animal health, just to kind of, get my grades up through that and then hopefully apply for vet. I finished that degree and I didn't want to pursue vet anymore, but I still had this biomed degree. I ended up opting for more study. I didn't really want to pursue research, which is what I feel biomed best qualifies you for, and I ended up going down into laboratory medicine. So I wouldn't say that I pursued a degree specifically. It was more circumstances that led me down that pathway. Having said that, it is a very broad, generalized degree, and it doesn't quite qualify you for a whole lot. I think there are more specialized degrees out there that will be more beneficial to where you want to go specifically. So I think definitely before you jump into this pathway of going through biomed, assess where you are and where you want to be, and then use that to guide whether biomed will help you with that.
Yeah, and why did you decide not to pursue vet? And the reason I ask is because, a lot of students have an idea of what they want to do and don't necessarily expect to change their mind.
Yeah, okay. I did about 3 years of practicals at a vet clinic, or just volunteer work, sorry. And I found that over time I was enjoying it less and less. There was a level of emotional investment and then also a lot of emotional blackmail coming from the customers that I just found very draining. And I think over time it just kind of wore me down. I thought, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I didn't want to pursue vet after that.
Yeah, cool. So practical experience showing you that it's not really what you wanted.
Yep.
And so what is the coursework like in the biomedical science program, and is it hard?
So like I said before, it's a very broad, generalized degree. If you're studying biomed, I would go in with the mindset that it is an entry-level biology degree. I think keeping that sort of frame of mind will help answer a lot of your questions about this field. The short answer is no, it's not hard. The long answer is that it's like year 12 biology, just kind of kicked up a notch, like human bio kind of stuff. The first year always sucks. It's just very generalized, here's chemistry, basically just a repeat of year 12 biology, but in about half the time. So it's just a foundation year to bring everyone to the same level. And then it kind of just incrementally sort of builds upon that. So it's very, from start to finish, it's not very full on. I think if you develop some good study habits in year 11 and 12, then that'll be more than enough to carry you through the degree.
Yeah, interesting. And so did you engage in any research or internships during your studies? And if you did, what was your experience like, and is this necessary?
Can't really answer this one. I didn't engage in any internships or research. I did as a part of my lab med degree. We had to have, I think, 2 7-week chunks of student placements. That was a really good idea of kind of rooting out what you like, what you don't like, what to look for when you apply for jobs. For example, there's however many sub-disciplines in lab medicine, microbiology, hematology, immunology, that kind of thing. And I did microprac and histoprac, and I learned that I absolutely hated histo, and I would never ever apply for a histo job. In relation to the question, I think hunt around for these kind of research and internship positions because they will guide what you're looking for and what you're not looking for. You might, jump into a research position, find that you absolutely hate research. There goes biomed, I guess. You will want to jump onto something else, maybe a little bit more specific. Or it's good to guide. I think just have an idea of where you want to go and then look at how you can, look for positions that will give you definitive answers of like, yes, this is where I want to go, or no, this isn't where I want to go.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, so the whole concept of like getting things off the drawing board and
yes,
because everything looks good in your head. So as soon as you can try that in person and see if reality meets expectation, the more time you'll save in your career.
Exactly. It's like making a checklist, like here's do's and don'ts, where it's more like yeses and no's for your career or pathway. Yeah.
Yeah. And could you describe a typical day in your role?
So my role currently, I'm a medical scientist at the public pathology service provider for WA. Even though it's a bit of a weird department, we work in surveillance. My day-to-day in this job would look different from a day-to-day in a standard pathology service job, which would look different to research, which would look different to commercial. It's really too hard to give a varied description of biomed specifically. It really does depend where you want to branch your career off into. For pathology, you're basically labor. You're there to do a job. These patients need their results and you're going to facilitate the tests to get those results. It's very monotonous. It's very samey. Every day you're kind of going to, there's variation in the different assays and tests that you do, but you're going to rock up to work. You're going to run some tests. You're going to go home. That's your day every day. I had experience at a commercial regenerative medicine company for a bit, and it's the same. You're just doing the same thing day in and day out. So I think that aspect of biomed, if you're fine doing the same things over and over, and some people love that, they love having a checklist that they go through their day. That's all their day is, and they get fulfillment out of that. That's fine. But if you're someone that really struggles with doing the same sort of monotonous tasks over and over, it's probably not going to be for you. I can't speak for research side of things.
And what's your favorite part of your job?
I think just interacting with my team and my co-workers. I think we've got a social thing going on. It's everyone kind of gets around each other. It's nice.
Yeah, good team makes the job.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
And what are the challenges working in this field that no one tells you about?
The pay sucks. It's just not good. If you're working in the medical or biology field, if you're not a doctor and you're not a dentist, the pay sucks. Like it's not great. I'm lucky to be in the position where I am because I know for Australia, the company I work for is the gold standard for pay and benefits in terms of pathology. Private pathology, you're looking 20 to 30K less on average. It's shocking. Same with commercial. I was a production scientist at a regenerative medicine company for a few months, and I was on 60K a year. There was a fair amount of experience and responsibility associated with that role, and I think the amount of stress, and it was quite complicated. For 60K, it was just, I've got bills to pay, and it's just not worth that level of input, I would say. Same with private pathology clinics. It's ACL, Clinipath, etc. You'd probably get paid more working full-time at Bunnings. It's, so why put yourself through 4 years of uni when you can work something like Bunnings or even McDonald's and get paid roughly the same? It's just assess where you are and where you want to be. And if you're not keen on uni, don't jump into it, especially for biomed, because it's probably not going to pay that much.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah. It's not great. And the work, depending on the workplace or the work you need to do, can be quite isolating. So that regenerative medicine company, a lot of the work I was undertaking was in a clean room. And that was sort of, I'm by myself in a room, usually another person with me, but you have to make sure you gel with this person on a level. Otherwise it can be a little bit, not tense, but like coming in every day and just like, oh yeah, the weather, right? It can be a bit awkward. And just if you're in that kind of room for 5 days a week, weeks on end, it's very isolating. you start to go crazy.
Yeah, great look into what it's really like in the job.
Yeah. And another thing is your manual dexterity. I think the profession is labeled as a light blue collar job. So there's a physicality aspect. A lot of the work you're doing is very repetitive, and repetitive strain injuries are very common if your laboratory isn't automated. So it's something that you need to also keep an eye out for is your individual health. Is this something that you can handle? There are things in place in the workplace to say, hey, if you're doing this for too long, take a break, or if you feel your wrist's hurting, let someone know. So there are roadblocks there to prevent it. But I know a lot of people have a lot of pride and they don't speak up, and then that causes issues. So yeah, there's an aspect of physicality. It might not sound like it in a laboratory job, but yeah, it's something to keep aware of.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, and that everyone should be aware of when it comes to work, because works kind of exists in a bit of a system where, you feel like you should do more or contribute the most. And it's up to you to look out for yourself and not do too much if you're burnt out, and look after repetitive strain injuries.
Exactly. That's a really good point, actually, that I'll just touch on. You will have managers in your career that will abuse that. You might rock up to work and your manager can say whatever they want about having a work-life balance. But if you come in and you do your 9 to 5 and you leave and you don't stay back like some other person, it's going to be held against you. And I think that's a failure of management. I don't think that's anything to do with the workers. Just something to also keep an eye out for when you're entering the workplace is identifying toxic managers and toxic workplaces. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, you've already touched on the pay. Question was, is the pay good?
It's not ideal, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other jobs branching off biomedical science that are higher pay outside of, you said, medicine?
Lab med can be, but again, you need to get a job in public industry, not the private. Private is atrocious. But having said that, public, everyone's scrambling to get public because, you've got, I think Path West employs 2,500, 2,600 people in the state. And then you've got 80 kids coming out of Curtin. You've got 30 coming out of Murdoch, however many coming out of UWA every year. It's a little bit saturated in terms of laboratory medicine. So Path West is the gold standard for paying benefits within that industry, but they're not hiring all the time. I don't think it's worth the gamble 4 years of uni for a chance of working at that company. Other disciplines, not research. I think a research officer, you're looking around 70 grand. That'll be it, like TKI or Perkins or Lions Eye. But a lot of those roles, you will need honours, master. A lot of those roles are for you to, get your honours, master's, PhD. And yes, you've got a 3-year biomed degree, then you might want to do, if you're looking at research, all right, there's a year for your honours, 2 years for your master's, 3 for your PhD. By the time you're done, you're 100 grand in debt. You've been studying for a decade, and the best position you might get is a research officer for 70 grand. It's just, I don't see that as a worthy time investment personally, but I guess just assess individually where you want to go and what you want to do.
Yeah, great honesty. And what would you say is the best way to network in this field?
I guess this is up to the individual's preference. If you have an idea of what field or what discipline you want to jump into, there are many societies and associations for any field. You've got AIMS, which is the Australian Institute of Medical Scientists. You've got the Australian Microbiology Society, and they all host events and conferences and quiz nights. They had a picnic a few weeks ago. They're open to non-members, so you can, if you're interested in microbiology, you can keep an eye out ASM events, rock up and just introduce yourself to people. Ask, be direct, like this, I'm a student, this is what I'm thinking. What can you tell me about the field? So that's quite good. It's a good utility and resource to have. The other one is just don't underestimate the you need to have. You're going to meet a lot of your mates and future co-workers through the TAV. Just, if you're in a lab class with someone, just say, hey, want to go for a beer after this? And, you'll make mates, you'll re-meet people down the road. So definitely utilize that one for sure.
And is networking a way to get jobs in this field, or does it not really work like that?
I can't answer that one specifically. I think my first proper career job I got through student prac, and then my second job was just a standard interview process. And I guess my where I'm at currently was technically networking. I kind of sowed my seeds in this department before I left my first proper job, and then I came back after the fact. I think just not present yourself, because that seems a bit disingenuous, but just be the best person you can be when you're at work, because people do take note. If you're a friendly, chipper bloke and you helping everyone around you, people will take note. That's what got me the job where I am currently, and I'm very grateful for where I am. So yeah, I'm happy that that's the route that I've taken. Just be a good person, I guess.
Yeah, good general advice. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to students considering a career in biomedical science?
Don't. No, like I was saying before, biomed it's a stepping stone degree. I think before you jump into this degree, just really evaluate where you want to go. If you're interested in research, biomed is good for that. It's very broad and generalized. You might have 10 different people at uni saying like, hey, we want you for our research projects, and then you have options, right? And that will guide you if you continue your research through your master's and your PhD and so on and so forth. Having said that, research in WA is fairly limited. In Australia in general, it's fairly limited, although I think there's a bit more going on over east. But again, it's a very broad degree. It's a stepping stone. If you're not sure, I would hold off, because again, like there are more specialized degrees that will qualify you a whole lot better for specific pathways than biomed ever could. So just keep that in mind, I think.
Yeah, really great advice about generalist degrees. It's so easy to fall into a generalist degree and then not know what to do with it.
Yeah, come out 3 years later like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yep, maybe back to uni.
Yeah. Chestnut.
So thank you so much, Alex. Those are all our questions for today. So for our listeners who have any additional questions for Alex that weren't covered in today's episode and you'd like to connect, you can visit the CareerView website at careerview.com.au. There you'll find Alex's profile and you can send him more questions. And as always, with each episode, please remember to submit the questions you want to know, especially for young professionals who have been there and done that. Before we head off, Alex, one final question. So if you could go back to uni, what one thing would you change during your studies?
I'd probably go into coding. Yeah, I'd switch disciplines entirely. Yeah.
Yeah. Why coding?
I think I would enjoy the variability of that a bit, I guess. I'm actually doing a master's at the moment, which has a little bit of coding. So third degree, far out. Why do I keep doing it to myself? Yeah, I think just jumping out of the field that I'm in, I think being able to work from home would be a nice bonus as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to know what you're going to do straight out of uni. And if it takes a few turns to get it right, for everyone out there, don't stress. You have time. You'll get there.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
See ya.